Right now, Professor of Political Science, Professor Kenneth Nweke, and a renowned activist, Nelson Kujimi, joins us now to discuss this issue. I'm going to start off with you, Professor Nweke. The Nigerian Labour Congress has raised alarms about confusion within the Senate on the amendments to the 2022 Electoral Act. How serious is this confusion, and what are the potential long-term effects?
Yeah, there's no confusion here. You know, people, those we elected, decided to play politics with my electoral process. So there's nothing like confusion. Nobody's confusing anybody. You know, it's just that those who we elected decided to be funny with the responsibilities that had been given to them. And so for me, I had advocated that Nigerians, led by the civil society organizations and other groups, should occupy the National Assembly, because you don't take Nigerians for a ride, when matters of very serious, something very serious like this. Because in one of my inaugural lectures, that I delivered in October, and one of the major recommendations was real-time electronic transmission of results. For us, it is what can help build public trust on the electoral process. It is what can give us what I call, a national rebirth. Another hope, at least if we can get our elections right in terms of electing our leaders and then votes count. Let's begin from there, for goodness sake. Let's begin from there before we can now begin to talk about other things. Yes, if, like what happened in 2023, that people actually, voters went out in their numbers to vote, and at different levels of coalition, that's where all the shenanigans were done. Here, I want to see election results transmitted real time. And then, of course, this coalition will be done online, automatically at different levels. And everybody will see whatever. And again, once we have results clearly, out there, those results will tally with accredited, voters. It will not be like you have 100 people accredited, and then you go and write nonsense in terms of numbers. No, all of those things will have empirical evidence to be presented in court, because previously the courts threw them away because they were not part and parcel of the law. So when you make this discretionary for INEC as part of guidelines for INEC, there is no part of our laws. We should write it in black and white. And if Senate is playing with us, in fact, Senate is playing with fire, as far as I'm concerned, Nigerians have all come out in their numbers. Those of us in the academia, we are calling out everyone in Nigeria to ensure that at least we don't get anything right. Real-time electronic transmission of our results from the polling unit. We are tired of manual collation from one ward level, local government level. That's where all the mutilations take place. And we can't take that in 2027.
But let me come to you now, Mr. Kujimi. The NLC has criticized the Senate over confusion surrounding amendments to the 2022 Electoral Act, particularly electronic transmission of results. How do you respond to these concerns? Do you think the Senate's position is justified?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a fact that the NLC under Joe Ajaero has become an annex of an existing political party in Nigeria. There's no doubt about that. So that threat by NLC is in tandem with its acts of irresponsibility that has come to be associated with that labor union, that has transformed even outside of the provisions of the law, from a labor union to a political party annex. Then I listened to the other guests. He talked about shenanigans in the 2023 election. You and I are all living witnesses to what happened in 2023. And we are aware that all the parties that were aggrieved went to the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. The judgment are still there in public domain, where people alleged rigging. And when they were asked to substantiate, the Presidential Election Tribunal said they did not present even a single polling unit results to substantiate the allegation of shenanigans. And when the case went from the Presidential Election Tribunal to the Supreme Court in less than 5 or 10 minutes, the justices are just like in the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, and the Supreme Court threw out the case that it was a waste of the time of the judiciary because the petitioners expected the judiciary to go and fish for evidence for them. So when somebody come here and tell you there are shenanigans in the electoral process, I think it behoves on you.
Apologize, we lost contact with Mr. Kujimi, but I'm hoping we can re-establish some contact with him soon. Let me come back to you, Professor Nweke. Now, given the public concern over the lack of, clarity surrounding the electronic transmission of election results, how can the Senate address this issue without, a further deepening public distrust in the electoral process?
Whatever that may have, I listened to Senator Abaribe, and I want to tell you, the likes of Senator Abaribe, Enyinaya Abaribe from Abia, the likes of Senator Sirake Dixon from Bayelsa State. You see, these ones, I give it to them. Anytime, any day, they are talking about, the things that bother about the average Nigerian. What are we looking for? The man who said that we are not talking about shenanigans and all that. Of course, the cost threw them out, the cases out, because for them, it was not part of the law. For instance, when you say INEC, is discretionary, it's part of guidelines for INEC to decide whether results are going to be transmitted electronically. Nobody will hold that. And of course, when you talk about it, I'm talking about where I voted, and then the result was not what I saw later. And so you're telling me court, no court. That is not an issue for me. As far as I'm concerned, it's simple. Whatever they may have, transpired in the Senate, I heard Senator Abaribe very well. God will keep the likes of Senator Abaribe. Even his children and those of us who are not related to him are proud of him. Nigeria and Nigerians, unborn, will be proud of those ones. Sireke Dixon, Enyinaya Abaribe, and others, because we hold them to high esteem. Let them go the way they went to executive session and harmonize some of these things with a view to ensuring that, they do not come out dirty in the public. And of course, you won't blame, the senators. After agreeing in the executive session, items 1, 2, 3, this is the way we want to go about it. Instead of coming out clearly to say, or to describe those items, they went by way of numbers as they agreed. And then behind, somebody wanted, or some group of people wanted to be smart. You can't be smarter than Nigeria and Nigerians. So the way they went into the executive session and the way they agreed, let them come back and say, something, let them tell us anything they want to tell us. All we want to hear is that there is real-time electronic transmission of results from polling units. Yet the man said that everything went well in the last, the up to Supreme Court. No problem. So all we're asking as Nigerians, put it there in black and white. Let even my mother in the grave, if she has an opportunity to come back, to see that it is written in black and white that you transmit results from the polling unit. We are tired of, mutilations that go on at different levels of collation. I've been teaching political science for the past 2 years or so. I have not seen this type of politics that we play, even with the lives of unborn children. Today, as we speak in Nigeria, the real thing must be done, and that real thing we must start. May not be the end of our problems, but let us see that results from polling units can be viewed anywhere, anytime, and assessed anytime.
All right, Professor. Let me ask this: with the NLC warning of protest and boycotts, do you believe the APC should take a more active role in clarifying the issue of electronic transmission, or is the situation being overblown by critics? Now, this question, I've been told now that we have Mr. Kujimi back, so I'll put this question to you.
Well, the question is that the APC is a party that has members in the National Assembly. And we also have members of the PDP, we have members of the Labour Party, as well as the NNPP. I can't remember if we have any other party. So the APC does not have a right to interpret what the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is people by persons representing different political parties, have taken a decision on. And let me quickly respond to the other person on this program. He has been very, very economical with the truth. The outcome of an election is not determined by the transmission of results. The Electoral Act 2022 amended has made provisions for electronic transmission of results. But you and I know that we don't have the infrastructure that can guarantee immediate transmission of results. At the 2023 election, again, let me also remind you that when some of these party stalwarts came out and were shouting, were crying foul, and their party agents brought their results of the polling units where they oversaw the election as the representative of the party, it tallied with what was on the IREM. So when you are talking about, what we should be discussing really is how...
Unfortunately, yet again, we've lost contact with Mr. Ekujimi. But Professor, before I let you go, do you have any comments to make as regards what Mr. Ekujimi said?
You know why he's not been able to come out and clearly? Because of the land, Nigeria will not allow him, because he's the one being economical with the truth. Because I told him that I've been teaching political science for the past 22 years. I've not seen this type. And so what will he tell me all over the world? This is simple thing. Whether you say the infrastructure or the instruments we have, the device we have, or devices we have cannot support, then at this point of our, level of development, even when you post something now, maybe on WhatsApp, and you don't have, you don't have network. But once you get to the area where you have network, automatically these things will go. What is it telling me? When people he is the one, and so many Nigerians that are like him in the Senate. And unfortunately, when people are old like this, they can't say the truth, because as I'm talking on live television, my children are watching me. And all those who are holding, sway as far as, this country is concerned, not allowing this country to move forward, the gods of the land in Nigeria will not allow them, to succeed. Because as far as I'm concerned, for me, we are on the right path. Transmit first, then we'll get there.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Nweke, for having this conversation with us.